Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kyra, and here on my channel, we're all about real makeup for real people who live real life. In today's video, I'm bringing to you the blush collection tag, all about my blushes. This was created by Braun off of the eyeshadow tag, which was created by Ali Glines and somebody else. I can't remember. I'll put it on the screen. I apologize. But I had to do this tag. I love blush if you're new here. And, you know, we just have to talk about all of these blushes. So let's go ahead and get into it. There's a lot to cover today. The first category is most used or everyday blush. And for me, I don't know if this is similar to anyone else. I know a lot of us have this blush. It is the Tarte Amazonian Clay 12-Hour Blush. This is the shade Party. This was a birthday gift from Sephora a few years ago, so that is why a lot of us have this one. I was attempting to pan this one at one point, and I did hit pan, but I still love this blush. I didn't try to pan it to get rid of it. This is a really beautiful matte formula, and if you have trouble with blush that doesn't last on your skin all day, if your skin tends to eat blush, as mine kind of does, the Amazonian Clay formula from Tarte is absolutely phenomenal. Love this shade. It's a very pretty pinky nude shade. Ribbit. But when I do use this up, I think I will get another shade because I've really enjoyed this blush. The next category is most expensive, and this is the blush that is glowing from my cheeks today. It is one of the Charlotte Tilbury Cheek to Chic Swish and Glow blushers. I have mine in the shade Pillow Talk, and the cool thing about these blushes, besides the fact that they look like a boob, according to my husband, is that you get this deeper blushy shade on the outer ring as well as a more highlighting shade on the inner ring. And then of course you can swirl it together or use them separately. And this is what they look like. This is the blush all by itself, the outer ring. This is the highlighting shade in the center, and then this is them swirled together. This is pretty much the same color as the outer ring. It just has that extra sort of gloss to it. And I also used this center part as the highlight on my nose as well as my cupid's bow, and then I added a little bit of extra just right here, but otherwise I swirled it all together and used it as my blush today. So I do recommend this. These do come in at $40, which as the category would indicate, this is the most I've ever spent on a blush, but I do really love this blush. It was a gift from my husband for our anniversary this last March, so I love it. It's great. This would make a really beautiful everyday blush as well, because it's very versatile in its color. I think it would go with a lot of different looks. Coming in the least expensive category, I put these e.l.f. Bite Size face duos or cheek duos, I'm not for sure. They are really fun. I have the shade Guava, really beautiful, and the shade Pomegranate. I really haven't used this one too much yet, but it's going to be beautiful for fall, that beautiful rich berry pomegranate shade. This one is Cantaloupe. How appropriate. It's a really fun blush. I urge you, if you haven't tried a blush that's a similar color, sort of an orangey, peachy, but heavy on the yellow side, if you have warm skin, it could be really beautiful on you. This is the shade Lychee. I really like this blush color. And the highlighters in these, while some of them look quite dark, they aren't as dark as they would appear in the pan, so do check them out. This is the shade White Peach. Really beautiful combination there. Then I have Watermelon. This is probably one of my favorites out of the bunch. It's just a beautiful sort of dusty rose, but warm dusty rose, if you will, and then this very beautiful peachy highlighter that, like I said, is much lighter than what it looks in the pan. And the highlighter formula as well as the blush formula in here is so smooth and buttery and easy to use. And then this one's probably my favorite, even though I can't use the highlighter as a highlighter. This is Spiced Apple, and how beautiful would this blush be for fall. I nearly wore this one today. I have mixed these together and that works okay, but I have to do like one tap into here and then tap it into the blush a couple of times and go in, and it works kind of like a topper, but more like a mix-in, if you will. So for $3, I think you're getting a complete win. I do have one other blush that I will mention later on that is also $3, but I've talked about that one ad nauseum on my channel, so I thought I'd talk about these today. Next category is worth the hype, and I do think that while this is not a new product, it still gets a ton of hype here on YouTube, and I think every bit of it is truth because I also hype these up on my channel, and that is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Blush. I have these two minis to start off. These were the first two that I purchased. I highly recommend going with a mini if the shade you're interested in does come in a mini. I have this shade right here, which is Mood Exposure. One of my favorite blushes in my collection. I will buy another mini or a full size when this one is gone because it's just perfect. It gives that same sort of glossy look to my cheeks, but it looks totally natural. It looks very plummy in the pan, and it is, but when swirled with that ambient lighting powder and placed on my very warm skin tone, it just looks very natural, but glowing natural. Like, what kind of skincare does she use natural? And then this shade right here is Diffused Heat, which is a really beautiful warm pink. And then one year, I believe this would have been holiday 2018, was the year I purchased or received as a gift from my husband the Ambient Lighting Unlocked palette. This, you hear banging and all that kind of stuff in the background. My husband is waging war on our garage and getting things organized. Anywho, these two are finishing powder, so once you're all done with your look, you can buff it over the top. You absolutely can use them to set your makeup as well. This here is the bronzer, which is the Golden Bronze Light, probably one of the least used bronzers in my collection, but it's because when I reach into this palette, I'm going for the blushes. And then your blushes are Nude Glow and Mood Flush. These are two of my favorite. I love the look of these two. I like that this really glowy peachy blush here, as well as just a really nice smooth, it's like the ambient lighting blushes that I showed you before, except for it's all mixed together. It's not swirled together, and they're just so wearable. I also really like mixing these two together. And lastly, in holiday 2019, I did go ahead and pick up the Ambient Lighting Blush Quad Ghost Edition. Don't love the packaging, this clear packaging. I think it looks like Tupperware. It just looks cheap. Beautiful blushes. However, this one is more of a blush topper or blush mixer for me, or even a highlighter when my skin is at its deepest. But these are beautiful. I love mixing these as well, and I just love this formula. I think it's worth every bit of the hype. It's very smooth. It doesn't accentuate texture. It just melts into the skin for a really beautiful natural flush. Since we talked about worth the hype, we can naturally assume that the next category is not worth the hype. And I want to disclaim here that if this is one of your favorites, it's not that I don't like this. I just thought that the hype over these was way more than it should have been based on the quality of the product, based on its unique qualities, etc. So, you know, we all like different things, and that's okay. That's what makes us unique. But for me, the Cover FX monochromatic duos, blush duos, just, I don't know. You can see mine looks pretty much brand new. I have used it quite a bit. The color is really beautiful. It's sort of like a sunburn, like a fresh sunburn / tan on the cheeks, and I do like that. However, I feel like unless I use them separately, when I mix them together, I just don't think it performs very well. I think when I want to wear them together or I want that more glowy effect, I tend to put the matte on first and then use this as more of a topper, and that performs the best. But this one is really too glowy for me to want to use it separately, and it will accentuate texture if you do use it alone. So I don't know, I just think for the price, I just don't think I should have to fuss with it or have to work to make it work. And I feel that way about all makeup. I mean, honestly, regardless of the price, I think makeup you should not have to force it or make it work. It should work. And so sometimes I'm not for sure who missed the board meeting that day and didn't say, hey, this is a lousy quality product. I don't think this is lousy quality. It just didn't work as well as I had hoped it to, especially based on all the hype. So here is what you get. This is the all matte blush. This is the glowy blush. And this is them mixed together. It's pretty, and I do love the shade. Glad I got the shade Warm Honey. I don't think if I got a different shade, I would like it any better. This is my jam in terms of color. Just didn't live up to the hype for me. Next is a favorite blush from a favorite brand. Now, I love this formula of blush overall, but this one is in fact my tippy top favorite, one of my favorite blushes in my collection. It is the MAC Glow Play blush formula, and the shade I'm talking about is So Natural. This is beautiful. I know some people disagree with me, but I think this is super reminiscent of the ColourPop Super Shock Cheek blush formula, and that is a good thing in my book. I absolutely love the ColourPop Super Shock Cheeks. They're kind of like a cream to powder. I think those go more powder as you apply them than this one does. This one gives you all the juice and the look of dew without actually being dewy. It doesn't stay tacky on the skin, but I wouldn't say it sort of converts to a powdery finish, if that makes sense. I love this shade so much. I don't know if you could pick a more boring shade, but I know a lot of people love nude blush like this, and this is my first real true nude blush, I would say, and I absolutely love this. I probably wore this for a couple of weeks straight after I bought it, and then I had to make myself put it away and try other blushes in my collection. But it's just a beautiful formula. Highly recommend. I have 3 shades other than So Natural. I also have Cheeky Devil and Cheer Up, which is a beautiful peachy coral. The next category is your newest blush, and I had to stop and think about this because when I thought of this blush, I was like, surely I've bought blush since this. I haven't, so I'm a little proud of myself, but it's the Patrick Ta Double Take Creme and Powder Blush. I have mine in the shade Do We Know Her, and I just love this. I love this color combination. The packaging is stunning. You have a nice mirror up here. You know, you've got that reflective packaging that loves fingerprints, but I love that there is a little window, a little clear window that covers up the cream product, so you're not, you know, cross-contaminating or getting powder into your cream, which may cause it to dry out faster. And I also love using them separately as well. I think this is such a beautiful shade. I would love to have She's So LA, which is a very nude, neutral, but brownie nude combination duo, and I would love to have that at some point, but I do really love this blush so far. and I would recommend it if you've been curious. I immediately knew my answer when I looked at the category of oldest blush, and you will have to pry this blush from my cold dead hands someday because I'm never getting rid of it unless I use it up, in which case I will immediately repurchase it. That is the e.l.f. blush in the shade Mellow Mauve. On Ulta's website, they call these the online only blush, but I've seen them in stores, so I'm not for sure what they mean. I am definitely close to hitting pan on this, but this is just one of my all-time favorite blush formulas as well as colors. This is such a silky blush, and it looks like nothing spectacular in the pan. It has a warm base, but it has a beautiful teal and purple shift to it. So it just gives the skin this really interesting glow that's super flattering and absolutely pairs with nearly every look you could create, which is one of the reasons I love it so much. This was the blush that I was also talking about earlier in regards to the e.l.f. Face Duos. This blush is also $3, but I have talked about this blush on my channel so much that I thought it deserved a category of its own, and that is my oldest blush. The next one, I don't know how I missed this particular one off first, but the next category is best memory, and one may wonder what kind of memory you could associate with a blush. For me, I originally thought of the Charlotte Tilbury Cheek to Chic blush because I had a great time. My husband took me to the grand opening of the Sephora in our city. Very exciting. It was our anniversary, and he spoiled me rotten with Charlotte Tilbury products. But because I wanted to have a different blush for every category, I realized how much I attach memories, good memories, to the Physicians Formula Butter Blush in the shade Vintage Rouge. For one thing, this is one of the most flattering shades on my skin. It's a beautiful red coral tone. It's a satin blush, so it's got a nice glow to it, but it's more of a glow from within versus gloss all across like I have on today. But this is the blush I wore at my sister's wedding, my younger sister. And also I've worn this for a ton of other special occasions, you know, work parties, date night with my hubby, and this is just one that I love to reach for because it is so flattering on my skin tone. It always looks perfect. The formula is phenomenal. Physicians Formula makes it really hard for me because of their cruelty-free status, as well as the way that they have done their business in regards to their cruelty-free status. I personally am not cruelty-free, but I do like to support brands that are honest and truthful, whatever their cruelty-free status. And so, Physicians Formula, get your act together, please. The next category is most underrated, and while I am starting to see these pop up more and more in people's videos here on the YouTube, I think overall there's so many more people that need to try this formula. It is the OPU Juicy Pang Water Blushers. This is Korean makeup, my friends. You can get these on YesStyle as well as Amazon. I have the shades Grapefruit and Guava. I love this one. Grapefruit is just a creamy colored coral shade, kind of similar to the Vintage Rouge shade, if I'm being honest. There it is right there. But Guava, as you can see in the bottle, has some gold shimmer in there. It's not glitter and it doesn't look glittery. You do want to shake it, of course. I wore this yesterday, actually, and I absolutely adore the shade and what that gold shimmer does on the cheeks. So here's the shade right there, very unassuming, but you definitely get a nice little sheen to your cheeks. If I can find a picture from yesterday that shows it very well, I will put it up here now, or I'll cut this part out if I don't. But so here you go, is that coral shade, and then here is Guava. And they are exactly what they sound like. These are pretty much like watercolors for your cheeks, and I would love to have a lot more shades. These are beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and I think so many more people would really enjoy these. I think they're kind of fun. They're in these little nail polish bottles and you just paint it on your cheek. I love to apply it with a sponge or just with my fingers. Just my humble opinion, I don't think that this formula gets as much love as it deserves. Here's another one where you might consider throwing things at your screen, but hear me out. The next category is most overrated. When these came out, they sort of swept over YouTube. Some things, they come out and they sort of roll through the ranks of beauty YouTubers in terms of people trying them, swatching them, applying them, doing reviews on them, things like that. This absolutely swept the beauty YouTube sphere of YouTube. And it is the Fenty Cheeks Out Freestyle Cream Blush. I have mine in the shade Strawberry Drip. It is a beautiful color, very fun and fresh, perfect for spring or summer. And I'm not here to tell you that this is not a good cream blush. It is a nice cream blush, little sheer, but I think that makes it a little bit more versatile in terms of the skin tones that could use this specific color. However, I don't think this is anything outstanding. I don't think that this is any, like, the formula. The colors were amazing and I loved the range of colors that Rihanna came out with in this product. However, the formula just isn't that exciting. In fact, I would venture to say this is one of the blush in my collection, one of the cream blush that is, that lasts for the least amount of time on my skin during the day. So the formula isn't anything super fantastic, and I think that's proven in that now that the hype has passed, we're not seeing as much about these on people's channel. They're continuing to try new cream blush, and I don't know, while I think the hype was real, I think the longer that this was out, the more people came forward saying, yeah, it's okay. All right, just two left. Hang with me. I can feel I'm losing you. The next is most nostalgic or old school beauty YouTube. I can't speak today. And my daughter actually helped me pick this one out, which was kind of cute. But for me, when I came on to the beauty YouTube scene as a consumer of YouTube, I heard about these nonstop. They weren't even new then, but they were like an old school favorite. People were still dedicated to this product, and people still are today, and I feel the same way about them, and that is the Glossier Cloud Paints. These are such a fun formula, and not just fun, like I love the Flower Beauty Blush Balm, their liquid blush, but there's something about the Glossier Cloud Paints that's just a little bit different in terms of its texture, in terms of how it sits on the skin. I feel like the cloud paints more become one with the skin, almost absorb, if you will, into the skin and cause a really natural flush that lasts all day. Whereas the Flower Blush Bombs I love, but I do feel like they more so sit on top of the skin and look like a blush, which I'm fine with. Obviously, I love blush. I love lots of blush. Blush makes me happy. So does eyeshadow. But for me, I think there is really something special about the Glossier Cloud Paint, and so many brands have emulated this type of a product in the years since this came out. And like I said, when I first started watching YouTube, everybody had like all the shades of this. This is the only one I have because I don't feel the need to duplicate other shades. I do have a couple Flower Beauty Blush Bombs. I like that formula too. But I think this is something special. Last but not least is your most disappointing blush, and for me it is this Charlotte Tilbury Glowgasm Glow Wand. I have mine in the shade Peachgasm, paid way too much money for this, And it's just like their contour wand or what have you. It squeezes out through this little puff on top. You apply it to your skin, and I just can't find a way to make this work for me. I don't understand. Even using a sponge, if you use your fingers, if you use a brush, it doesn't matter. It completely accentuates every bit of texture on my skin. And I wouldn't say textured skin is something that I suffer with or that I really have a lot of, you know, other than wrinkles. So I don't know. If you have one of these and you love it, let me know how exactly you apply it. The only way I've been able to make this work is to mix it in with another cream blush. Specifically, the Flower Beauty blush bombs work really well when mixed with this. I just mix them together on the back of my hand and apply with a sponge. But this was so disappointing. Not only was it disappointing because it's expensive and I feel like it's going to waste, but it's also disappointing because I was so excited to have this. So many people do seem to like these, but I never hear them say how they apply them. So if you can help a sister out, that would be most appreciative, because this is super disappointing. And that, my friends, is all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, you could give it a thumbs up for me. It really helps me out here on the platform. And if you're not already, I would love to have you subscribe before you leave if you liked what you saw today. Let me know down below, what, if any of these categories, would you like to answer? Also, I'm curious, as a little add-on to this tag, what blush is the perfect natural flush on you? For me, I would say that when I actually flush, it's something very similar to the Tarte Amazonian Clay blush in Party. Doesn't look like it, but it does look super natural on my skin when I wear this. Of course, this is a matte blush, but for me, this is my natural flush color, just like my natural lip color is perfect with MAC Whirl. So let me know. I'm just curious, what blush do you feel like creates the most perfect and natural flush on your skin? Thank you so much for spending part of your day here with me today. I am so happy to be back filming. We'll get back to the regular schedule of uploading and move on with our fall and our October together. And I hope all of your makeup days are absolutely beautiful makeup days. Happy fall. Stay safe, stay warm, and I will see you in my next video real soon.